Rio Rancho Regional Chamber, we've been highly involved with a number of different organizations, particularly the SBA, working with them as well as the state, trying to find different ways that we can ensure that we're getting the word out to our businesses. And it has been and quite honestly, it has been a very bumpy road. SBA's gone through a lot of challenges. As we found that whether you are the state, whether you're the city, county, federal government, no one had ever planned this type of thing in the past. So everything that we're doing right now is pretty much new territory for everyone. So in saying that, you do have a great team that's working diligently. Here from the chamber, everyone is working remotely. But we are here, we are answering the phone, we are helping out businesses and helping out the community. I have been working with a number of businesses throughout Sandoval County and Albuquerque, members, non-members, trying to give them some ideas and thoughts around what they should be doing, what are the programs, and what's going on with them from this standpoint. So I thought it'd be great if we could, we'd have a call going through those items, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end. So with that, we'll get going. So the very first program that we've got is the payroll taxes. So this payroll tax program that is out there for businesses to help support you is a delay in employer payroll taxes, mainly Social Security, now through the end of the year. So the nice thing with this program is it's 50% due 12/31/21, and the other 50% is due 12/31/22. So you're basically deferring your taxes due this entire year for payroll taxes into next year and the following. That's a great program. If you apply for the Paycheck Protection Program, which I'll talk about next, you cannot have this one and that one. So you can only have one or the other. Now we'll talk about the Paycheck Protection Program here in a bit, but that one has had a lot of challenges around it. So this is an opportunity. This is already, payroll taxes essentially already your money. So without it being a grant or a loan, you can withhold the money for a while. Just keep in mind that, as most small business members and business members know, when the state says the money's due, when the feds say the money's due, the money's due. So you're not going to want to delay your payback beyond those set dates. The employee retention credit. So employers fully or partially shut down or 50% drop in gross receipts in a quarter compared to prior year. Refundable tax credit for up to 50% of the wages. Employers with over 100 employees applies to employees not providing services. So the employee retention credit is an opportunity. This is a tax credit, so this really doesn't help you today. This program helps you in the future. This helps you with your tax filings. It's a little bit different program. So going off to, did Javier join us? Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, you are here.
Yes.
Javier, thank you for joining us. Do you want to introduce yourself and talk about the PPP program a little bit?
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Javier Caltenco. I'm Public Information Officer with the U.S. Small Business Administration Disaster Assistance. And now I just want to clarify, I actually cannot talk about the PPP program. There's another department that will handle that section. I can talk about the economic injury disaster loan.
Okay. Then we will we'll get to that one next here.
Yes.
So I'll talk about the PPP program then. So the PPP program was updated as of last Friday. They have received a ton of applications for this. This is set up for employers with less than 500 employees. So your nonprofits, self-employed, sole proprietors, independent contractors, this program is for you. The challenge is with this one, you have to go to a bank. So it's any one of the banks that is SBA 7A certified, but there's also a couple credit unions in it being Nusenda and Sandia Area Federal Credit Union. So those two are also accepting applications. Give you an idea here, from this program standpoint, it just really rolled out again Friday. That's when they got, so if you applied for it before then, that was the delay from the banks, is they didn't have the full details and how it was going to work and be able to run it efficiently. The ironic thing is it rolled out Friday, and as of Monday, Wells Fargo is no longer taking applications. So with this program, they still have to follow the lending procedures that occurred back in 2001. So the banks have to know who their business is, who you are, all of those type things. They have to have a relationship. So they are giving priority to businesses that have a relationship with them already. So an example would be if you already have a banking relationship with New Mexico Bank and Trust or US Bank, you're going to get those priorities. If you are at Wells Fargo and they're no longer taking applications and you go to another bank and you have no relationship, at this point, I was just on a call with the SBA this morning. It's a challenge that they're working through, but you're going to be essentially put at the end of the line. So you really have to look at your lending partnerships, whether it's a bank, Nusenda, Sandia Area. That's another banking organization. Just you can call them, ask them if they're taking applications for 7A. If you don't have a banking relationship with a bank or Nusenda or Sandia Area, and you want to take advantage of the PPP program, reach out to banks, make a phone call to the banks and ask them if they are doing the PPP program and are they taking applications from new businesses. What we have seen is throughout the state of New Mexico is some of these businesses or some of the banks are saying, well, we'll put you in for it, but you got to be a banking member for 2 weeks. So you have to have an account with them for 2 weeks. And then in other cases, they are not participating at all unless you are a member, just because they have received so many applications. Okay. So the PPP program is a great opportunity. It's forgiveness of payroll for up to 8 weeks. If you want to use more of it than what it is, going to the next page here, the PPP program has loans equal to the lesser of 2.5 months of average payroll for 10 million. Loans by local and national lenders, which are those banks and credit unions. Minimal requirements, which is great, no collateral, no personal guarantees. Loans convert to grants equal to amount spent on payroll, rent, interest on mortgages, and utilities for 8 weeks after origination. So loan forgiveness is reduced proportionately if the employer reduces their number of FTE. Loan forgiveness is reduced if employer reduces wages by more than 25%. This program is available through June 30th or until the money comes out or is finished. Now, nationwide, this has been a huge, huge focus. So from the federal standpoint, what they're saying is apply for this now, whether you're going to use it or not, apply for it, because the assumption is the money's going to run out, and then the feds will put more money into the pot to extend this again in the next program. So the next thing that Congress passes and the president. So PPP, great program, but you have to have a relationship with banks or credit unions, or you got a little bit more work to do there. Next one up is the EIDL. So Javier, you can talk about this one.
Yes, okay. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, Jerry, thank you very much for having me here. I can talk a little bit more about this. I'm not sure how detailed you want me to get into this, but I see you have most of the information here that people can see. So one of the things I want to mention, since you just went over the PPP, is that I want applicants to understand that, you know, the economic injury disaster loan and the PPP, they can complement each other. So therefore, you can apply for both. And for example, you cannot, yes, you cannot, how can I say, sorry, duplicate the benefits. SBA is not going to duplicate the benefits, but you can use both of them. You can apply to both and use them for different periods of time. So for example, if for the first 2 months of May and June, you use a PPP program, then after those 2 months, you can use an economic injury disaster loan. Our application deadline is in December 17th, so you have a lot of time, but it's better if you apply. And as you have it here, we do have, the limit is up to $2 million for working capital. The loans can be up to 30 years. And right now the interest rates are 3.75 for businesses. For nonprofits is 2.75. If you have a current loan right now with SBA, that will be deferred automatically until the end of the year. And for this disaster, we are not really, well, we're not asking for real estate unless it's over $500,000. Sorry, real estate collateral. And okay, and I also want to mention, in terms of, so if you have been applied, or if you know anybody who has applied under the old system, which is the DLAP system, and they were denied, please ask them to reapply again under the new system. We have the streamlined application. Therefore, you know, they should apply, because there was some changes that possibly they can be approved now. And for those individuals who were assigned a loan officer under the old system, they will complete they will process your loan, sorry. And if you apply through the old system and you did not, if you were not assigned a loan officer, that means that you should apply with the new streamlined application. And now, as I mentioned, you can apply for economic injury disaster loan. You can also apply for the PPP program as well. New changes that we have right now is also that the faith-based organizations who were affected by coronavirus are also eligible to participate in the PPP program, as well as the EIDL program. The chambers of commerce, they may be eligible as well if they're not in non-governmental entity, and also if they do not engage in lobbying. I know this is not on the slide. I'm just giving you some extra information that I have of some changes. Okay, for now, I'm not sure if I should go into the other detail like that you have on the screen, Jerry.
Yeah, so a couple things before you do that. The couple questions out there amongst the chat group is can businesses apply for both disaster relief the the PPP program? Yes, but they cannot duplicate each other.
Correct.
If you are going to do the EIDL program and the payroll tax deferment, yes, you can apply for both of those. Is there an application process to defer the taxes? No, at this point there is not, but I will, I'll track that down. There is not one because it hasn't hit yet. Has anyone received EIDL because of COVID-19? They haven't heard anything. Javier, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think on the other SBA calls that I've been on, there is a big backlog of the EIDL loan requests, and I don't think really anyone across the country has received that 10,000. The 10,000 if they check that box yet. There is, I think they have until April 21st before the 3 days expectation kicks in. I think I've heard that a couple different times.
Yes. Okay. So, Jerry, one of the things I want to mention is right now we had my manager just today. We're actually told me not to at least hold off a little bit because we're still hearing from head office in Washington because they're the ones who provide us all the information. So they told us to hold off on the advance, 10K advance. So I don't want to talk about that right now. I don't want to mention it because I don't want to give misinformation.
Okay. All right, and then the EIDL, we're getting a lot of questions around the EIDL. The 3-day advance, that's going to take some time. They're working through a lot of different things. So I think we've seen SBA in the past couple weeks, we've changed forms multiple times, different processes. If you followed the original process when this rolled out, if you did it via paper, sent it to Fort Worth, or you filled out the old form, they are asking you to go in there and fill out the new form. So the new form is much easier and much simpler to complete. And that one will help you out a whole lot.
Jerry, yes, I would like to add on that. If you applied, let's say more than a week ago, and you haven't heard anything, and if you didn't use the streamline application, the streamline application, which is much simpler, I would recommend that you apply through our streamline application. It's much simpler, it's much easier, and at least you're going to be safe that your application is in.
Right. And then someone else has asked if they have, if they applied for it and they have an application number, how do they know which one's the old and the new? The way that I know the old and the new is if it asks you the question at the very beginning is, are you interested in the $10,000 3-day emergency grant, then that is the new form. If it did not give you that option, then you're on the old form. That's the biggest change. That's how I've been identifying which is which. Okay.
Yes, it's going to be probably difficult to mention it, but just in case if people remember, it probably says something about disaster loan application program, when that's how we call it, DLAP. But it would ask you for a lot of information. It would ask you to upload your documents. In this streamline application, you don't have to be uploading anything. It's all basically you're approving it by yourself. So you can really tell the difference.
Yeah. Absolutely. And then someone else asked if you're a sole proprietor under the employee count, do you just count yourself and say 1?
Yes, that's correct. Right.
Yeah. I know that's what others have been doing, and then going from there. So, Javier, do you want to cover any of these additional details on here or anything else associated with the EIDL loan?
Well, I think no, I think the other part is pretty much straightforward. As I mentioned, any changes, I think right now we're waiting on some of the updates from Washington. So as soon as I get that information, I can provide you more information on the program. And I'm sorry, I will actually had some information I wanted to share, but I can't right now because of they told me to hold off until we get the final decision on the idle disbursements and everything, okay?
Okay. So obviously, as you can hear, this thing is, Javier, this is very fluid. Things continually change. I think we're on for the EIDL alone, I think we're up to application number 3 or 4, or version 3 or 4. They've changed a couple different times, I think, for the process. But this most recent process is what we're on now. But most important thing is whether you're going to use it or not, get your application in on this, because that gets you in line for this. And we'll talk more about planning the future and the tomorrow, as we call it here at the Chamber, and where we go from there. So Javier, they apply for it. I have the area to apply for it right there. There's the link. And all of this will be attached to this whole presentation will be attached to our website under the COVID-19 page, as well as this presentation will be recorded.
Jerry, if I can, just wanted to, I'm going to send you a direct link where you can, any applicants who want to apply for the EIDL program, they can just click on it and it'll take them right into the application process.
Perfect. We'll attach that to our site. Okay. All right. Any other questions around EIDL? If you want to put them in the chat before we move on. No, this is a big one. I think we've answered just about every one of these questions here. Okay. Moving on. Oh, we got one more that just popped up. So question is what are the current timelines? I was on a call earlier today with the SBA on this. The timelines are very fluid. The April 21st date is one that they're striving for to get things resolved and handled. But I did hear today that in a lot of cases, they will be processing these in the month of April and then May. So if you submitted it beginning of April, you may or may not hear anything back until May. So it's going to take quite a bit of time. And the large reason is because they have so many. Now what the SBA has done is they have hired a number of employees. They rehired some former employees to help process these, as well as hired new employees to try to speed this process up. So the SBA is working at this. They've had challenges, again, as I started out with. No business, no chamber, no city or county organization or the SBA or the federal government ever thought that we would be in a position as we are today, where a number of businesses are counting on funding and grants from the SBA as well as other sources. So with that, we'll move on from there. When it comes to question just popped up, how many were hired? I'm not sure at this point. I know it's the last I heard it was a few thousand nationwide. All of ours are processed in Fort Worth. Not positive how many they've hired there. Javier, you briefly discussed this, the Small Business Debt Relief Program. So this is deferring the loans. Any kind of payments, anything that you have that's SBA related right now. This important part here is if you got an SBA loan to start your business, before all of this happened, call your lender and ask them what is available through the SBA under those programs to defer loans, waive payments, anything associated with it. Because it is fluid. Stay in contact with your SBA lender. If you have a VA loan, contact your VA lender. So you have to contact these folks to get updates on what's happening and not happening. Any questions there? Couple new questions in the chat room. Are they hiring locally at SBA? I don't believe that they are, not at this point. They don't process the applications here locally. They're all processed in Fort Worth for our region. And then, yes, we're going to make these slides available for download on the Chamber's site. Moving on. Javier, anything else to add from the federal side? SBA side?
Okay, sorry, I just wanted to. No, I think for now, I just want to just leave it at that for now because I don't want to get into the other program. So as soon as I get that information, I can provide that. And I just want to tell individuals to, please be patient. I know it's very difficult, but right now we are trying to do the best we can. And, things are changing and it's not us here, is from Washington, is they tell us, okay, stop, or don't talk about this program, these are the changes. So please also be patient with us as well. We try to do the best we can.
Very good. Thank you. Thanks for your time today, Javier.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. And then talking about that as well, the challenges with the SBA is our federal delegation is aware of it. They have taken it to the House as well as to the Senate on how to get this fixed, how to make this more efficient. So yes, you will probably see more applications on the federal side coming up that may even be more streamlined. I know they're working on that PPP program right now to streamline it and make it easier for the lenders so you can get your money much quicker. The great thing is on the PPP program, there are lenders throughout the state that have processed them. Give you an example, I think Nusenda said that they had already processed around $30 million in funding for the PPP program. So, and they just got approved last week. So they're moving through this very quickly. But check with your bank, check with New Mexico Bank and Trust, check with US Bank, check with all your banks. The only one that I've heard of that has stopped the PPP program so far is Wells Fargo, and that has more to do with their limitations because of their agreement for their past trade practices. Moving on to the New Mexico Economic Development Loans. So this is a really great program. I was very excited to see the state come up with this program. This is a loan guarantee up to 80% of the principal or $50,000, whichever is less. So example, you ask for a $60,000 loan from your local bank or credit union. They grant, that means $48,000 is guaranteed by the state. The other $12,000 is all you'd have to collateralize. Now, a number of the financial institutions are not collateralizing at all, so that creates an opportunity. But this is a great program in that loan proceeds are flexible. It's a 2-year program, so depending on the financial institution, give you an example, they can do a 5-year amortization, but it's a 2-year loan. So that means your payments will become very affordable, etc. This big one here, what I will tell you about this program is the two lenders that are leading the way in this right now. Not many banks are participating in this program, but Rio Grande Credit Union and Sandia Area Federal Credit Union are two credit unions that are participating heavily in this program. So with that, you know, it creates a golden opportunity. There is a link there as well to take you to the information on the site. But great program. Highly suggest if the other ones aren't working out, this one is moving along. So they're already processing loans. The state only has a limited amount of money for this. So if this one does interest you, you got to jump on it. Next up from the small business standpoint is the paid sick leave for small business and nonprofits under 500 employees. So this is for employees can be paid up to $511 per day if they're taking care of themselves, or 2/3 the rate with a maximum of $200 per day if caring for a family member. This is a program you should be aware of as an employer because this is available to them. This program is going to be set up to really help those that have kids, let's say young kids that are at home that can't work remotely. If you do have employees that can work remotely, then this does not apply. The next program up is FMLA. So this is a big one as well. Again, for employers with less than 500 and nonprofits. Leave is paid at 2/3 regular pay again, or $200 and $10,000 in aggregate. FMLA is in addition to any other leave an employer provides. So this is in addition to. So that is an important program that you need to know about as well as an employer. Next one up is for large business program. For large businesses, this is a program that helps them out. Large businesses are big businesses, i.e. Intel, i.e. some of the national banks. We really don't have a lot of those folks up here. You'll see that special programs for airline industry. So this one I'm not going to cover much, but that one, there is programs available for them as well. This is something you should probably have that is listed at your site to ensure that your employees know. So where you have your workers' comp in your office, if they're working remotely, send them something of this nature. But it is a letter for employee programs. So basically says effective for wages paid after April 2nd, 2020, all full-time employees qualify for 80 hours of federal paid sick leave at your full pay rate of up to $511 daily. If you're ill, quarantined, been advised by medical professionals to self-quarantine, or have symptoms for which you are seeking medical diagnosis, all from COVID-19. You also qualify for FMLA sick leave up to 2/3 your normal pay to $200 daily for 12 weeks. For caring for any individual under quarantine, isolation, etc., or because your child under 18 due to school, daycare having been closed. These rules apply to wages earned through December 21st, 2020. So this is a program you're going to have to live with throughout the year. So when you do bring your employees back, you still have to make this known to them. So it's just a good one to have out there, just as what I'd call it is CYA for you as a business owner and business leader, that you aren't withholding this information from your employees. All right, so before we get into this, matter of fact, we'll go right into this. So a couple action points that you should be doing is today is apply for loans and grants. So the EIDL is available at sba.gov. Javier was going to give us another link for it. You need to get that application in. PPP program, local banks that you have a relationship with, or Sandia area or Nusenda. If you have a different credit union, ask them if they're participating in the program, but get that application in, because that one can be a grant up to 100%, so it can be fully forgivable. The New Mexico Economic Development Program, apply for that one, get your business in line for that, whether you're going to use it or not. So what you want to do is reach out to the local credit unions that are participating. Another big one that has been seen, you know, scammers will be what scammers do. There has been a lot of scams. So if you submitted an EIDL application and they send you a reply via email, you need to double and triple check where that came from. That email address, is it a legit email address? Is it truly .gov? If it's not .gov, if it's .com, .help, anything else, that's a scam. Don't even, just delete that thing. Move on from there. As for, that's what you need to be doing today if you haven't done it already. For tomorrow, what we've got to look at is a community as business leaders, business owners, is the loans are going to take time. In a lot of cases, you may not receive any funding before April 21st, but in most cases, it'll be after May 1st. We have experienced, if you're a restaurant, your restaurant is closed on the inside, you have drive up and carry out, as well as delivery. So you have those different options. Retailers, if you are currently closed, make sure you have those applications completed. But in addition to that, take a look at what the restaurants are having to do today and adapt your retail store to that. Can you take advantage of pickup delivery after April 30th? Can you take advantage of maybe opening up, if you're a retail store, open up your aisles a little bit, create more space? That's going to be a big deal coming forward. Even if this was to change tomorrow, or let's say it's April 30th, that's when the governor's order ends, and we'll see where we go from there. What we can expect is it's going to take a while for people to get accustomed to being in crowded places again. That's just a fact, and it's just nature. So what we've got to look at doing is what are we doing as a business and a community to get everything moving back again, moving in the right direction, growing and doing those type of things. So take a step back also during this time and review adding or reducing services. Maybe some services, they are not going to be a fit in the short run. Maybe they'll be a fit in the long run. Maybe there's looking at how your operation works. There's a service that you're missing. If you are a nonprofit or you're in the mental health industry, that is an industry that is badly needed right now at all levels. There's a lot of folks struggling right now. Taking a look at how you can offer your services, whether it's via Zoom, one-on-one calls, however it may be, but this may open up a different opportunity to expand your business and expand your offerings. So with that, I'll pop in and answer some of these questions here that we've got. Let's see. So we will upload this information. Here's a note here. Century Bank is doing the PPP loans. So if you have a relationship with Century Bank, that's great information that Century is participating in that program. Being a community bank means that they have less applications nationwide, which is advantageous to you. How does the process work with the payment, I need information about the paid sick leave. I will attach some additional information on the paid sick leave and how that exactly is going to work. In a lot of cases, the way that that looks like it's going to be is it's going to be a tax credit, which doesn't help cash flow today. And that's where that PPP comes in. Can you explain how to access the funds for FMLA? I'll have that on our site. They are updating them. That's why we did not attach them today. So they're already being updated again. So rather than giving you the old information, I'd rather attach the new information, which they would let us know. Hopefully we'll have by tomorrow. One suggestion that we've started, this is open an entity separate checking account to cleanly deal with the loans and where expenses are going. Yes, that is a great point. So in a lot of cases, you're going to have to, if you receive any of this funding, you're going to have to track it. And how are you going to track it? So ideally, you're going to want to open a separate account associated with this around the money. So I've heard best practices being you have a bank account with your PPP money in it. You have a bank account with your EIDL money in it. You have your bank account with your state monies in it. That way, when you're using those funds and you have to report it at the end of the year, how did you use the funds? It will be much easier to track for your purpose. The other thing that I will tell you is something to keep in mind is seek out more banking relationships. So if you've only dealt with one credit union or one bank today, seek out more relationships, because as it is with every business, every bank or credit union or financial services entity has their strengths and weaknesses, and or what they do well at and what they don't do well at. So this will create the opportunity for you for further activity and lending opportunities. Question here is do I know if the unemployment application rules have been relaxed for people who work multiple part-time jobs? From that standpoint, I think the magic number that they have to earn is $2,089 in a quarter. If they have not earned $2,089 in a quarter, then they do not qualify for unemployment. So they can earn the $289 via multiple sources. It just doesn't have to be one. And then can they apply for unemployment, or do I need to lay them off too? You can apply if you are going to reduce their hours and they hit that number over $2,089, they can get up to, what is it, $263, I believe it is, that they can get. But that $263 comes out of, actually I think it's $261 comes out of the wages that they make. So if they were making $1,000 a week, then they have the $461. That's all they're going to receive from the state. Now the state is, when we're looking at unemployment, that $600 that the federal government passed out, that said that they passed that is going to be available. It is not currently available in New Mexico. It's not currently available in just about every state in the country. It has to do with the antiquated unemployment processing programs. So what is expected to happen is, yes, it's $461, $600. So if they did make $1,000 a week, they would qualify for that full $1,000. But that's not out there yet. That's going to take some time. Secretary McCamley with Workforce Solutions, they are anticipating a date of April 21st before they'll be up and running to process that additional $600. There is no guarantees at this point that it will be retroactive. So there's a lot of work to be done on that. The next question that we had was with the EIDL, will the EIDL cover business owners in their businesses are broken into while they are shut down? No, you need to keep your while they're shut down, you need to keep your existing insurance in place. So your insurance policy would have to pick that up if they're closed and they get broken into. Is EIDL restricted to what it is to be used for? Yes, it is. It's restricted for key areas. Javier, are you still on?
Yes, I'm still here.
Can you elaborate a little bit on what EIDL is restricted to? What it can be used for?
Okay. Well, yeah, maybe I should have just mentioned, what the EIDL is for. So the EIDL, Economic Injury Disaster Loan, is for working capital loans to help small businesses, small agricultural cooperatives, small businesses engaged in aquaculture, and most private nonprofit organizations meet their ordinary and necessary financial obligations that cannot be met as a direct result of a disaster.
Okay.
So I hope that covers.
So when it comes to the funding for it, think about, as Javier had mentioned, think about payroll, think about rent, utilities, those type things. And if you're applying for both PPP and EIDL, you cannot overlap the two. So your EIDL for payroll would be after PPP is exhausted after those 8 weeks. So I'll open it up for any additional questions. If there's any additional questions, well, a couple other things. The City of Rio Rancho Economic Development did a spreadsheet, which is also on our website already. This spreadsheet it breaks down the programs that are available out there to business owners. It goes through it all. So to give you an example, it talks about what it's for: salary, loans, cash, is it forgivable? On the next page, the employee retention tax credit, how those work, etc. So this is a nice resource. It's on the city site. It's on the chamber's site. They did a nice job kind of putting it all into a one-pager. For this presentation, it's on two, but when you print it out, it's a one-pager. And then let's see, received another question here. If you have State Farm for your business or personal insurance, there are payment provisions in place to help with payments that cannot be made. That is great information. Not only that brings up another piece of information for everyone to be aware of is when it comes to your insurance, your mortgages, your leases, your rent, reach out to those entities and talk to them about these things, because it really creates an opportunity for a lot of these, especially large organizations like State Farm, Allstate, et cetera, on the insurance side, that are creating programs to help defer payments, reduce payments, et cetera, for the next, I think a lot of them that I've seen have been 90 days. Some have been 30 days, 60 days, but a lot of them are 90 days. So with that, if you have any questions, issues, problems, if you need any kind of support at all, we are here to serve you at the chamber. Give us a call, 892-1533. You can reach me via email. On our COVID site, rrrcc.org. And then we have all of that information as well. For the state, you've got that gonm.biz page for COVID-19 for more information that the state is providing. If you see on the group chat, and we'll have this on our website, Javier just listed the site where it can be found directly. Let's see, any other questions here? will you please go over the PPP and EIDL statement of overlapping? My fridges were pretty loud at the time. Okay, so you cannot, the EIDL and PPP cannot overlap. So if you are collecting, if you are putting in for money for PPP, that is a certain time limit program that expires, applications expire in June if you receive it. It's basically an 8-week program. So you're going to use that money for those specific 8 weeks. Your EIDL, when they talk to you about your EIDL and what you're applying for there, that is after the 8 weeks, or what you did not get funded with the PPP program. You can't overlap the two. Now, in saying that, from the state program standpoint, there are not those limitations. And from the state program standpoint, if you need assistance with that 80% guarantee program, contact State of New Mexico Economic Development. They are working hand in hand with the small businesses. They just announced this today. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to be working with you and the lender to find you a lender that fits you, your business, and your business's. So it creates that opportunity. To apply for the EIDL loan program using our streamlined application process, got that. New Mexico Department of Workforce Solutions offers a one-time $750 stimulus payment to self-employed New Mexicans. That's a great point. For those of you that are sole proprietors, the federal government did put into play. It's not out there. The rules are not out there yet. But hopefully after April 21st, sole proprietors will be able to file for unemployment compensation from Department of Workforce Solutions. It's going to create an opportunity for additional funding. Let's see, anything else? And with that, that covers a lot of territory in a very short time. We are right at the hour, and we wanted to be done in an hour. If you have any issues, questions, problems, please reach out to the chamber. I have made a number of phone calls to different financial entities, from bank lenders to credit unions, etc. Talking to them about your situation. What is it you need? If you don't have a relationship with someone already, reach out to me and I will talk to them as well. But bottom line is we'll get through this all together. We will be up and running soon as a community again and be rocking and rolling just as we were before March 1st. Last thing I want to leave you with is, as a chamber, we are trying to track your impact, what challenges you're having. So with that said, we put out a survey. Where were you on March 1st? Where are you at April 1st? We're going to do that again May 1st. If you have not yet filled out our survey, please go in there and do that. That gives me needed feedback, not only on how the chamber can help you, but in addition to that, how can the state or the feds help you? If we are not getting the assistance that we need from the state, the feds, SBA, whoever it might be, we are your voice. We are driving that home. And the more often we can hear the successes, the challenges, or the failures of these programs, the more impact we can make. So with that, I really appreciate your time today. Anything I can do for you, please reach out. You all have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Greatly appreciate the information.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
See you,
great-
everybody.
Thank you, Gary.
Take care of you all.
And
Please fill out that